Howdy folks, and welcome back to World of Warships with Rear Admiral Jingles. Today I'm back at the Tank Museum. I'm about to break out my suit and tie, polish my medals. I'm being presented to Princess Anne, the Princess Royal, who's the guest of honour at the Tank Museum today to open the brand new all-singing, all-dancing vehicle restoration workshops. Don't expect to see any video of it. Well, there might be. The Tank Museum are probably going to be filming it, but nobody else is allowed to bring any cameras or recording equipment in. Although I may be lucky enough to pop in and take a look at the brand new, sort of, lovingly restored is probably a better phrase, Matilda 2, which they finally completed after years of dedicated and loving restoration. So hopefully I'll get some video of that. For now, however, it's World of Warships time. This is the Admiral Kutuzov. No, it isn't. I do that all the time, don't I? I keep getting this ship mixed up with the Admiral Kuznetsov, which, of course, is a Soviet aircraft carrier, not the Mikhail Kutuzov, which is a Soviet Tier 8 premium all-gun cruiser. And Mikhail Kutuzov here, which, like HMS Belfast, is no longer available for purchase, is today being sailed for us by Lord of Droid. That's him right there. The Kutuzov is a premium Tier 8 Soviet cruiser. She has 12 152mm guns with an absolutely ridiculous range, armour penetration and rate of fire. This thing will quite comfortably lob an armour-piercing or high-explosive shell out to ranges in excess of 19 kilometres. Yes, you heard that right. Not 9, 19. She also has very impressive anti-aircraft firepower. She's reasonably quick with a top speed of 33 knots, although you can obviously improve that with a speed flag. And she is very manoeuvrable with a rudder shift time of 6.5 seconds. Wow, is that it? Or is there more? I mean, I'm beginning to see why they removed this ship from sale. Actually, there is more. You haven't heard the best part yet. This is a cruiser with a smokescreen. And sonar. Yes, really. So it can sit in a smokescreen 19 kilometres away, spamming high explosive. Yeah, pretty much. And if you fire torpedoes into the smokescreen, it's going to see them coming. Yeah, that more or less sums it up, yeah. Wow. Is that it? I mean, is there anything actually bad about this ship? Well, no, not really. I mean, there are some things about it that aren't great, but there's nothing particularly bad about this ship. If you want to have the hydroacoustic search, you have to give up the defensive anti-aircraft fire consumable, but meh. You hardly ever see carriers in game anyway, and even without the defensive AA fire consumable, the raw anti-aircraft firepower of this ship is probably good enough. Likewise, the turret rotation. 25 seconds for the turrets to do a 180-degree turn. I mean, it's not great, but it's certainly not bad either. And that's the only thing about the guns that might be considered bad, the turret rotation speed. Although they do tend to get knocked out quite often as well. 4 turrets, 3 guns per turret. They do tend to get incapacitated and sometimes destroyed outright. But, well, it does have 12 guns. And they fire every 8 seconds. And did I mention this thing has a smokescreen? And sonar. Yeah, I think I did, didn't I? Oh wait, I nearly forgot. I knew I'd forgotten something. Torpedoes! This ship also has torpedoes. Ah, yeah, Jingles, but they're going to be those crappy 4-kilometre range standard Soviet torpedoes, aren't they? No. No, they're not. No, these torpedoes have an 8-kilometre range. And while they're not incredibly fast torpedoes, they're not incredibly slow either. They have a speed of 60 knots. So hopefully by now you can begin to see why this ship was removed from sale, and Wargaming have said it's never going to go on sale again. So unless you already have a Mikhail Kutuzov, like Lord of Droid here, and like me, you're never going to be able to get one. Or are you? More on that in a moment. For now, things are starting to heat up. That's a lot of enemy ships up there. This smokescreen is not going to last that much longer. He's attempting to set the North Carolina on fire while he remains undetected, but it looks like he's about to chew on a couple of those torpedoes. That salvo did set him on fire. He does take a torpedo, and he's immediately used the damage control. Further salvo of high explosive shells. the damage control would have still been active, so there was no way that was going to set a permanent fire. The smoke screen is about to expire, and that's pretty bad news for Lord of Droid and this Auber who's sharing the smoke screen with him. He's managed to set the DeGrasse on fire. He's switching to the armor piercing. Now, is he going to try to sink the DeGrasse or the North Carolina? He's going to try to sink the North Carolina while he's showing broadside, because the North Carolina is by far the biggest threat. And he's not firing the high explosive. Not while the North Carolina is showing broadside, and while he could probably set him on fire, and that would certainly kill him, that would take time. And he needs to sink this North Carolina as quickly as possible. North Carolina is down. Taking some high explosive fire from the Megami, still with the armor piercing loaded. Let's try to finish off that DeGrasse. Why would the DeGrasse do that? Giving broadside to 2 cruisers took a huge amount of damage, turned around, sailed the other way, giving broadside to 2 cruisers took a huge amount of damage, and then was safely in cover behind the island, and then turned around, sailed the other way, and once again gave broadside to 2 cruisers, and was finally sunk. Do you think, like the Megami over there, he's possibly been launching torpedoes? I think he probably has. Slight love tap there between the Auber and Lord of Droid as they punch together to avoid the Megami's torpedoes, and it's nice to see them both apologising to each other. In fact, you're going to see some remarkably civilised chat in this particular battle, and oh look, more torpedoes. Yep, the DeGrasse was launching torpedoes. Fat lot of good it did him. Not really worth the cost of his ship. More Megami torpedoes. Sonar's running, of course. Plenty of warning that these torpedoes were on the way. And there goes the Megami. And of course, when you see cruisers, torpedo-armed cruisers, exposing broadside like that, it's not hard to guess what they're doing with their torpedo launchers. You didn't actually need to be running hydroacoustic search to be able to predict that there were going to be torpedoes coming. But it's nice to have. So, now that nobody's actively trying to kill us for the moment, what's going on? Well, the team are actually ahead. Not by much, but they are ahead. Both teams have lost 4 ships, both teams hold 2 of the caps. But then things start to go just a little bit pear-shaped. It begins with the enemy Bismarck sinking our Atago, and then if you have a look at the map, and there they are, in the background over there, yeah, the Colorado's just found himself an Asashio to play with, and that's probably not going to go too well for the Colorado. The Asashio, of course, is the recently introduced Tier 8 premium Japanese destroyer, armed with the deep water torpedoes that you can't see until the last possible moment, each of which do 21,000 damage, and can only hit battleships or carriers. So, yeah. It's not looking so good now, is it? On the bright side, they do at least still hold 2 of the caps. Meanwhile, there's a bit of a conversation been going on in chat. A remarkably civilised conversation, I have to say. You might have noticed the Kagero on the team hanging back quite a lot. Well, he's not at the moment, he's actually over there capping, which is nice. But they're having the conversation, and it is a conversation, it's not an argument. This isn't World of Tanks, we're quite civilised here in World of Warships. Conversation about why the Kagero isn't been spotting more. Turns out the Kagero does not have a smokescreen. He's in fact running the torpedo reload booster instead. But he's still a Kagero. I mean, that thing can have a surface detection range of something like 5.8 kilometres. They explain that they're not actually picking on him, but, you know, we appreciate that you're helping take some of the caps. In fact, he has. They now hold 3 of the cap circles, still behind on ships. But if you could spot as well, that would be lovely. We appreciate that, you know, it's kind of dangerous for you since you don't have a smokescreen, but just be careful. That's all we ask. A remarkably civilised conversation. You can imagine what a similar conversation would be like in World of Tanks, can't you? Tank destroyer camping behind the buildings on Malinovka, yelling at a light tank sitting in a bush in the middle of the field in Malinovka, "Go spot, noob." Light tank replies, "Fuck you, fatty." Tank destroyer team kills him. Yeah, we've all been there. Admittedly, it's not always quite this civilised in World of Warships, but, well, it's usually not as bad as in World of Tanks either. Maybe something to do with the average age of the player base, which does tend to be a little more on the mature side in World of Warships. Oh, that Kagero is getting shot at from 2 different directions. That's not good. The Cyclone has now, of course, closed in, which is restricting visibility to 8 kilometres. So the Kagro can see who's shooting at him, but Lord of Droid can't yet. Well, he can see them on the map. They just haven't rendered in game for him yet, not until he closes within 8 kilometers. The Kagro's firing his torpedoes and reversing. I think he managed to run himself aground, but that's a Bismarck shooting at him from the right-hand side, and a Leon shooting at him from the left. That ain't good at all. The Leon has a lot of guns, and the Bismarck secondaries are pelting him. Yeah, the Kagro's done, but he might get a hit on the Leon with his torpedoes, and the Kagro is down, and he did get a hit on the Leon with the torpedoes. Okay, Lord of Droid. There is a Bismarck and a King George V around that corner on the right. Let's not get shot at by the Bismarck, the King George V, and the Leon. So he stops, which is the smart thing to do. And now it's the Leon who's in a ton of trouble, because those shots that you can see whizzing in from the left-hand side, those are from a friendly Bismarck. Now, the rest of the enemy team have not been sitting idle while this little drama has been playing out. They have already taken back one of the capture points. However, while that has put them ahead on points, it's not by much, and sinking this battleship should be enough for the scores to once again draw even, providing Lord of Droid's team don't lose any more ships. And so, of course, they sink the Leon. Technically, it's the Bismarck that does it. And then they lose their North Carolina. So they're right back to where they started. The enemy team still not that far ahead, however, and one of their dead teammates has spotted an opportunity, with the Bismarck and the King George V heading in that direction. If Lord of Droid and the Kutuzov and his surviving teammate there in the Bismarck head over to the east and cap Delta, with 3 capture circles under their control, providing they can hold on to them, and of course providing the rest of the team stop getting themselves sunk, they should still be able to win this, by quite a comfortable margin. Of course, this is putting all of the pressure on the other surviving Bismarck and the Auber down there to the southwest. They have to stay alive, and they're kind of being backed into a corner with 3 battleships, a cruiser, and probably also a destroyer chasing after them. So, yeah, a lot easier said than done. And in fact, they have sunk the Auber, which just leaves the Bismarck to the south and Lord of Droid here in the Kutuzov with his other surviving teammate in the Bismarck. Having a look at the map and looking at what those enemy ships are doing, pursuing that Bismarck to the southwest, they can then just swing straight around, sail into A and cap that. And they need a 3-point cap advantage, and then for everybody else on the team to stay alive in order to win. And that probably isn't going to happen, and that thought is occurring to Lord of Droid around about now. So he has an alternative suggestion for the Bismarck here. Right now it's a pretty cunning plan, but as soon as they lose that other Bismarck, which is going to happen any second now, it's going to become a plan so cunning you could stick a tail on it and call it a fox. And there goes the other Bismarck. So these 2 guys are now the last 2 ships left alive on their team. Lord of Droid can cap Delta by himself. He doesn't need the Bismarck with him to help him do that. If the Bismarck was instead to turn around here and head down in that direction and sail towards Charlie, the southernmost cap circle, well, what are the enemy team going to be doing right now? They can look at the map just as well as anybody else and realise that somebody is over here in Delta capping. Now, they could all come back here to try to get the last 2 kills, which is possible, but if they do that, they're going to run it with full health Bismarck, which is a very, very tanky ship. And the Kutuzov has 12 152mm guns with a 19.1 kilometre range. Okay, at the moment he can only shoot at targets 8 kilometres away because there's a cyclone in force, but there's not much of this game left, so that cyclone is going to start slackening off and the view ranges are going to start increasing, and he has a ship with 12 152mm guns that have a 19.1 kilometre range. And he's not going to have to hang around here at the back for too much longer because he's just about finished capping Delta anyway, so he can sail after the Bismarck. They can stick together. There we go, he's captured Delta. And there are definitely some enemy ships coming back in this direction. What if it's not all of them? What if only some enemy ships are coming back here, and other enemy ships are heading over to Alpha to cap that? Well, so much the better. If the enemy team are going to split their force up, these 2 guys can both focus their firepower on one enemy ship at a time. Oh, it's the enemy Kagero. I have to admit, I was not expecting that. I thought if any of the enemy ships were not going to go chasing after kills and were instead going to try to take some of those cap circles back, the Kagero would have been the one. And there are his torpedoes. Even before the Kagero was spotted, Lord of Droid was running hydroacoustic search, so plenty of advance warning of those torpedoes. They shouldn't hit anybody. However, in order to avoid those torpedoes, the Bismarck is kind of no longer sailing towards the enemy ships. And in order to avoid those torpedoes, Lord of Droid is sailing towards these enemy ships. And the Cyclone is lifting, which means view range is increasing, and he is now the closest target to 3 enemy battleships and a Tier 8 cruiser. You almost wish the Cyclone had lasted a little longer. If it had, they could have kited this Bismarck. They could have kept him within 8 kilometers and just kited away from him and focused him down. With the other enemy ships, the King George V, the Hipper, probably the Kagero out there as well, outside of view range and unable to actually shoot directly at them. But, well, the Cyclone has lifted, and now they can all see him, and he's the closest ship, and so of course they're all shooting at him. And he cannot turn away. He's now committed. If he exposes even a hint of his broadside to all of these guys, they will just instantly delete him. And he can't even use his smoke screen because he's too close. They'll see him shooting from within the smoke. Lord of Droid realizes at this point he has to kill that Kagero. He actually has an even more cunning plan than his first plan, but it all relies on that Kagero dying. Okay, got him. That's actually his first kill of the game. That has actually put them ahead on points, but he knows he's going to die very soon and the scores are going to flip again, so he pops his smoke screen. But the smoke screen is not for him. It's too late for him. The smoke screen is for the Bismarck behind him. Now that Bismarck also took a torpedo, and he's flooding. And the friendly Bismarck is concentrating all of his firepower on him. See, the enemy team are ahead at the moment, but they can flip the scores again if they sink that Bismarck. And there he goes, and that's put them ahead again. This Bismarck, of course, now has to survive. And that is what the smoke screen is for. It's not a very big smoke screen though, and that's why Lord of Droid made sure he killed the Kagero before he went down. Now the Bismarck doesn't have to worry about any torpedoes. And as long as that Bismarck stays alive, the enemy team aren't getting any points from Capture Circle Charlie, because that's where the smoke screen is. Of course, it's not a particularly big smoke screen, and so they can probably fire blind and hit him. In fact, they now have him in a crossfire. So the Bismarck makes a snap decision. Rather than just sit here and hope, he's focusing his secondaries on the King George V, and he's going to take a chance in firing his main battery guns as well. Because if he can sink that guy, we kind of need that King George V to fire again so we can see him. Oh, and he does! At that range, from a Bismarck, broadside on, gotcha! Encouraged, of course, in chat by Lord of Droid, Bismarck, take the shot, take the shot. He did take the shot, he did sink the King George V. There's 1,000 points, and that's a win. So, I mentioned earlier that you can't actually get the Mikhail Kutuzov anymore, but that's not strictly true. You can't buy the Mikhail Kutuzov anymore. Wargaming have said that they're never going to put it back on sale in the premium shop again, but that doesn't mean you can't win one. And some of you may be lucky enough to win one of these ships as a result of watching today's video. You might be aware that World of Warships have just expanded their community contributor program, and as a part of this expansion, they're giving us an ass ton of bonus codes to give away every month. The codes are either good for subscriber-specific camo schemes for your warships, or community contributor crates, which can contain a whole bunch of goodies, and it's probably easier if I just show you. So, Wargaming gave me 10 of these crates to open, so I could demonstrate the kind of things that you can expect to receive inside them. So, the first crate contains subscriber camos, 50 of them. We'll show you what these actually look like later, but as you can see by the tooltip, the stats associated with these camos are pretty nice. Most of the crates are probably going to contain subscriber camos, but each crate has a small chance of containing a random Tier 8 premium ship, and a 10-point captain to go with it. Now, I was lucky enough to get the Lo Yang on this occasion, but I could just as easily have gotten any of the other Tier 8 premium ships available in World of Warships, including the ones no longer on sale, And yes, that means the Mikhail Kutuzov. There's a small chance that each crate is going to contain a Tier 8 Premium. There's a fairly large chance that each crate is going to contain some of these subscriber camos. So if you're lucky enough to win one of these crates, you should probably expect to be receiving the camos, and anything above and beyond that is just an added bonus. An added bonus like, for example, the Hydra flag, and all of the exclusive premium economic flags. But you may also be lucky enough to receive 100,000 free experience. So your chances of winning something when you open these crates are in order. Smallest chance, Tier 8 Premium. Medium chance, 100,000 free experience. Biggest chance, premium signal flags, subscriber camo schemes. I have 12 of these crates to give away. I also have 35 bonus codes specifically for subscriber camos. So in today's World of Warships giveaway, link down below in the video description, all you have to do is enter your email address. The first 12 winners will each receive one of these community contributor crates, and the next 35 people picked out of the hat will receive bonus codes for this. This is the new subscriber camo scheme. One entry per person. The giveaway should be live by the time you see this video, and I will be emailing the bonus codes to the various different winners on Saturday. So best of luck to you all. Hope you enjoyed today's video, and as always, take care, and I'll catch you next time.